I can't wait until we're really talking about some real football, but yet we are a month away to spring ball. I know you feel the same, and we are going to answer all of your off-season doldrum and basketball questions right here on this episode of Locked On Wolverines.
You are Locked On Wolverines, your daily podcast on the Michigan Wolverines, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Friday. We're back and doing it. Locked On Wolverines podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. I'm your man on the ground, Isaiah Lowell, publisher of Wolverines Wire through USA Today Sports Media Group. Thank you to all of our everydayers who watch or listen to the show every single day. Also, big thank you for making us your first listen. We will start off with the leaders and best who ask questions every week for the most part, all the way back to the beginning of 2018. Then we'll move on to the regulars. We call them the Victors Valiant. They are generally consistent. Some should be in the leaders and best, but that takes too long as it is. And then we're going to go into the lightning round with the Blue Crew. Some are regulars that are inconsistent. Some are completely new to all of this. So let's go ahead and start with our leaders and best. We start off with James Crisler at James Crisler 6. Now, I want to make the caveat that I put out the call for questions on Tuesday before Sean Magee was ousted. We ended up doing the whole show on that. We didn't do a show on Wednesday because I was just I wasn't under the weather, but there's actually a question in here that kind of describes one of the maladies that I have, and we're going to get to that. It's in segment 3. But we did something else yesterday, Savion Hyder and Dave Peliquin. So some of these are going to seem a little outdated. We're going to do our best to answer them still. James Crisler at James Crisler 6. With Magee out and other personnel rumored to be potentially on the way out as well, do you think these moves are necessary to completely move past the Moore era? Do you think the GM of Michigan is a coveted position as head coach of Michigan in the GM field? Latter, absolutely. And then for the former, as far as do I think that these moves were necessary to move past the Moore era? I don't, right? Like, I don't think that it was necessary to, I think that there are places where, yes, that, obviously you wanted to move on from certain coaches. You wanted to clean house. You want to bring in your own guys. But I think that there's still room to have people who, are carryovers, and there are still some behind the scenes, but at the same time, now, it's mostly the Kyle Whittingham show, mostly. And, some people could have stayed, right? Sam Popper had the ability to stay if he wanted to. He chose not to. But I don't think that it's necessarily necessary because, right, like a lot of this stuff wasn't set up by Sherrone Moore. It was set up by Jim Harbaugh. That was still a winning culture. But at the same time, Kyle Whittingham has to do as he sees fit. And I don't really begrudge him that. I don't think all the moves are perfect. I'm not going to go out. Now, the Peliquin one, I will add this. My source that was more than highly skeptical on Peliquin, we talked about that yesterday, has now met with him and has completely reversed course. So this isn't just, it came out, he looked at it and said, right, like, the source knew who he was before any of us did. And all of the questions essentially have been answered. So you can move forward feeling good about that. But at the same time, I'm not going to, I see with every hire, you've got a lot of my colleagues that are just like, amazing. This is the most amazing hire that could have ever been made. I'm not there. Okay. That's just not where I'm at. But I also have been of the mind that, yeah, you gotta move on from the previous era. But at the same time, I don't think that you move on just to move on from everybody, right? Like, you need some places of continuity. We know they've got one in Tony Alford. They were trying to have two with Lou Esposito. And so that's kind of where I'm at. Josh Barr at Jadicky, not football, but Purdue and Duke this week. What's your prediction on results? Obviously, the Purdue game has passed. I had predicted it was going to be split. I thought they'd lose at Purdue and win against Duke. They beat Purdue. We'll see what happens against Duke. Still a little skeptical. They're going to have to be on their game. This is by far the best team they have faced. I can't really turn against them now. If this was at Cameron Indoor, I might predict a Duke win. Hard to overcome the environment in some cases. I don't think that's going to be an issue. I think there'll be a lot of Michigan fans there. I think it'll probably be pretty evenly split. So I'm just going to say they sweep it. ultimately. We'll see tomorrow. My brother in metal, Michael Wolf at MWolf21. What are some of the things you want to hear from spring and fall camps that will encourage you for the season? Just guys really standing out at positions that we question. Defensive line, linebacker. And honestly, I want to hear more diagnosis of problems, right? Like we kind of heard that like straight away, like Bryce Underwood, like his footwork, his, different, his throwing motions and things of that nature. I want to hear more of like, they see the coaches are like, yeah, we saw some issues and we fixed them. Or even the players, once we get to start talking to players, I want to hear more of like, I didn't realize that I had a lot to fix and now I'm on the way to fixing it. And man, I feel so much better. I think that's really the only thing. Cause I don't, like, especially spring ball, it's kind of hard to assess, especially the spring game. Cause it's like, you're going up against yourself. Fall camp, you just want to hear that they're all kind of coming together and that they're all moving in the same direction. It's still always hard to predict what it's going to be. Like you fool me once, shame on me. You fool me 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times, then, and I will buy into the hype when it happens. I will forget that I said that. That's how that works. All right. Finishing us out in segment 1, Spencer Whitmore. What is your approach to building rapport and relationships with new coaches? This, I assume, feels different with such new faces coming in across the board. Thanks. I don't know. Right? Like you just, for me, it's, you meet them, just, you got your press conference stuff. I'm on the sidelines. That gives me the ability to just kind of get more FaceTime with guys. And if there's ways that I can be helpful, you ask. If there isn't, then you just kind of let that sit. But ultimately, that's it, right? Like it just kind of starts with FaceTime. And I'm not seeking it out, right? Like I try to tell you guys, I'm not like the quintessential insider. I do get inside info. But that's not my job. I'm not chasing down inside info. If I'm given it, then we roll with it. That's kind of how it goes. All right. We've got plenty more to get to, and we're going to get to that here. We're going to start with the Victors Valiant. We're going to get to them here in just a moment. But before we do, welcome to the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft. We are looking at every aspect of the draft to let you know which tasty flavors are the best and which might just be sleepers. 5-Hour Energy shots give you a boost with zero sugar. Could use one right now. I'm not lying. We're choosing between 2 right here, although there are 3. I'm not mentioning much about Confetti Craze, but I'm telling you that's the real deal as well. But Blue Raspberry, I can't resist a Blue's Raspberry. It's a sweet and tangy flavor with a taste that nature couldn't make but should have. It's a bright, playful, nostalgic taste, smooth, easy drinking texture, reminiscent of blue slushes or hard candy. Fruity Rainbow is the other flavor that I think is absolutely incredible. It's a bright blend of assorted fruit candy flavors. It's playful. It's a multi-fruit taste profile. It's smooth and easy drinking texture as well. So you've got both of the same thing there. And with a sweet, colorful finish that lingers lightly. If I'm the one who has to make the choice, I'm picking Blue Raspberry as my number 1 overall pick, but Fruity Rainbow and Confetti Craze are right up there and could easily and absolutely be a sleeper pick. So find your new favorite flavor of 5-Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. All right, we're going to move on here in just a moment. But before we do, ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? Well, FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and are thinking about, the Detroit Pistons or, who are they going to play? Well, guess what? Either or. Any of there's a lot of teams out there that can make a deep run, and this is the perfect time to lock it in. I love futures this time of year, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grab a conference title. It adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. And now, not only can you pick your pick cash rather, but it could also send you to the finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Lots going here in the Victors Valiant, so let's go ahead and get to it. Let's start with Great Bambino X at Colossus O Clout X. Can you provide a breakdown of what's allowed in each portion of off-season work, winter conditioning, spring practice, summer conditioning, fall camp? Can the team be installing playbook and schemes during winter conditioning, or does that have to wait till spring practice? I mean, installs, no, right? Like they have the playbook and all that kind of stuff, but like, no, they can't do installs except for in the camps. As far as I know, like, right. Like I'm kind of going off of what I know here. I didn't like double check this answer beforehand. Winter and summer conditioning is mostly about the lifts, the running, and some individual work, right? Like you heard like Tony Alford talking about Savion Hyder and how when he sees him running drills and things of that nature, like they are doing some football things more individually. They essentially can't do team things except for team, lifts and runs, right? But spring practice, fall camp, that's when they can get everybody together and do all that kind of stuff, right? It's like they didn't stop lifting, but they go harder in conditioning, the conditioning periods, and then they do the football type of activities in the camp periods, essentially. Nunya Biz at U of M Fan for Life. Thoughts on Sean Magee being let go today? That was Tuesday. We did a whole show on it. Have you heard anything that may be happening? Can we expect the former Utah GM to fill this role? We have already obviously covered that as well. Understand staying in the comfort zone, but I would like them to step out of the Utah BYU zone if it makes sense. And they did. So there you go. I'm just kind of giving you a shout out there. Edwin Simmons at Simmons_Edwin. Happy Tuesday, my brother in Christ. Happy Friday to you. Did you see Josh Pate put Michigan program 10th and Alabama 7th over a 3-year span, and Miami in front of us as well? 3 years ago, national championship. 2 years ago, we lost 8 pros and beat Ohio and Alabama. Last year, we win 9 games with a. Let me see. I gotta look down here with a. It says with a circus, but I think you mean with the Citrus Bowl. I did not see it. Haven't really been getting into the football content. I mostly watch Josh, who is a friend of mine. I do watch his show more in season. In off season, not as much. I don't really just consume a lot of football content when it's not really near it. I mean, I think it's silly, right? If you put Michigan 10th, because even though the last couple of years haven't been great, they did win a national championship a couple of years ago, and he's well aware of that. Alabama was in the playoffs twice. Michigan's only been in it once in the last 3 years. So like I could see you saying like that they're relative, not even, but like they didn't make the national championship game. They lost to Michigan two straight seasons. Miami has no business being in front of Michigan. So, I mean, that's silly, but sometimes it happens. Don't really care sometimes. Like sometimes like people aren't really thinking that, like this is the thing is people aren't necessarily like sitting there and really dissecting and stuff. Like, I was asked to do a top 10 list of the Michigan players since 2000, and people are going to be mad at it because I left guys out. And some of them I'm like, I don't want to leave them out, but like I have my reasons, or like I just don't really have a place to put them because I feel like everyone on my list needs to be there. But I didn't really think that much about it, right? Like it took me 5 minutes. It's probably not too similar, it's dissimilar rather. Adam Casel at Adam_Casel. You talked about running and total offense yesterday. That was Monday. What's a reasonable, optimistic improvement for this year's team to make from last year? Looks like Bryce changed his personal QB coach. Did Beck and Detmer encourage that? I would assume, as far as making modest improvements, I think they can make big improvements. Like I think like good run game. You knew that Michigan was going to run the football. They were able to run the football pretty effectively for most of the year, but sometimes they got kind of stuffed up. I think you're just not going to see that as much because I just think that this run scheme isn't predicated on the idea of always winning all of your matchups in the run fits. Like, I just think that they've got a lot more, and this was probably more of a Connor question. They've got a lot more at their disposal, and I just think that they've attacked the pass game to a point where it's just like you just do not want to let Michigan do that either, right? Like the last several years, it's been like, let them pass. It's fine. As long as we stop the run. I just don't think that that's going to be the case anymore. Perry Mitchell at Perry Mitchell 08. Which players benefit most from a fresh start with a new coaching staff? That one is actually kind of tough because like there's enough turnover where there's not really anyone that like maybe like because like the guys that I'm thinking of mostly are starters, but like a Shamari Earls would probably be one. I think just being a younger guy, didn't get a lot of run last year. He would be one. I don't know that anyone, I don't really feel like there was like obvious held back. I think a lot of the wide receivers in general, Kendrick Bell and Channing Goodwin, even though Goodwin was in the good graces for a while, I think those are the types of guys that maybe Deacon Tonielli, but like for the most part, like the guys that played were the guys that I thought should play. There were very few. And the ones that I was kind of like, how is that guy not playing? Eventually ended up playing last year. More the year before was kind of like, Caleb 711. Do you think Sherrone will ever get another D1 coaching job, even as an assistant? God bless. I think it depends on what happens with this court case, which looks like it very well could go Sherrone's way. Based off of it sounds like prosecution kind of messed some things up. And if it goes his way, I think he'll get another one as an assistant eventually. Maybe not right away. He might have to work his way up. But I think, if Bobby Petrino and Hugh Freeze and some others that like were, certainly much maligned for some of their off-field actions can get other head coaching jobs, I think that Sherrone can as well. Get maybe not a head coaching job, but I'm not the one at William Cawthorne. Why does it seem like some of the fan base is afraid of Michigan's schedule? Am I wrong for feeling like Michigan should be on par with the top 10 teams? I just think it's a lot. I just don't think like you can. I think even like some of the best teams, like 2023, you have a hard time getting past Oklahoma and Iowa and Penn State and Ohio State and Oregon. And who am I missing? I'm missing Indiana that just won a national championship. That's just a lot. Doesn't mean they can't, and it doesn't mean that they can't lose some games and still like make a run. I think absolutely, like just by virtue of being a better team, they could be there. A lot of those games are at home. You split Oregon and Ohio State, and now now you got a stew going, baby, essentially. Do you still talk to any recent players that have moved on to the NFL? Not a lot. It's kind of more if when you say recent players that just kind of more recently moved on to the NFL, really only when they are back in town, maybe. If I see him on the sidelines, we'll talk for a few minutes, but like, yeah, like if I see a guy on the sideline, the chances are we're going to talk for at least a few minutes. Like I'm closer more so with like Jake Butt or Mike Martin, guys that I might text at any moment. I haven't really talked to either much since the season, to be honest. Like I'll text a lot more with Jake in particular during the season. But like, if I see some guys from like 16 or whatever, or 18, obviously we had Shea Patterson on the show. I was talking to him a bit, over the summer last year. Khalid Hill, some guys like that. Chase Winovich, Josh Uche, kind of a little bit more, I think, that era. Every now and again, I'll text JJ McCarthy. But that's pretty much it, right? A lot of them are we pay attention to each other on Instagram. I see them in my Instagram story views and stuff like that, but that's really about it. Are you feeling better? Yes. And from the big sickness, yes. But like weirdly, I'm just exhausted. I after I got sick, I was only getting like 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night for about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. Might have been actually closer to 3, because once I started getting sick the night of the MSU game. And then I just stopped sleeping well. And only in the last couple of days have I started sleeping well. But weirdly, I feel more tired. I got 6 hours on Tuesday night, 7 hours last night, 8 hours last night. And it feels like I've never slept before in my life. So there you go. We're still working though. We're still doing it. Wolverine Warrior, Wolverine Champ 1. Do you think our fan base needs more younger people? Looking at crowd energy, just basketball alone doesn't compare to so many top teams as atmospheres. Maybe it's just me, but I think a majority of our fan base is an older population that's less energetic, rowdy, and influential. I mean, I agree with you. Yeah, like, it'll. I don't know. Maybe it's just not the as much of the cool thing. And I think the problem is with the prices being what they are, people get priced out. So really, ultimately, you get the older alums and fans are able to get in to these things, rather than the students or the recently graduated or just the casual fan. And plus, like with the TV experience, a lot of people stay home. My best friend Doug used to go to all kinds of games, and used to go to used to have season tickets, and then he used to go. And he didn't go to Michigan, and yet he had been to more games than I had before I started covering the team, by like a long shot, even considering my student tickets, because he had several years where he was going before and after I moved from Ann Arbor. And like now he doesn't, I can't tell you the last time I went to a game. Like 8 years ago, maybe. Maybe it was, I think he's been to one since 2016 Wisconsin. It's the last time I can think he's gone to a game. So I think that kind of plays a role. Ramas Herrick at Ramas Herrick. Do you think Jay Hill's comments about the defensive tackles has talked to his players through the media, given the general consensus that it could be a weakness, or does he believe so? I think he believes so, right? He's worked with less. Like we look at it and say like, they're underachieving, and that might be true, but Jay Hill's certainly worked with and done a really good job with players that are not as highly touted. So I think he honestly looks at it and says, I can work with this. Yep, absolutely, I can work with this. Ultimately. Justin Rambron at J Rambron have been taking a peek at Final Four tickets. It's ridiculous. The tickets are so expensive for a basketball game played in a football stadium. Should I go for it? And if you want, I'm not, again, the TV experience is so good. If you've never been to like something like that, and I haven't been to a Final Four, I've been to a couple I've been to 3 Michigan NCAA tournament games. And then I covered the Oregon-Kansas game in Kansas City as well. I mean, it's worth going to some of those types of games, but like, is it worth going and paying an insane amount to watch basketball in a football stadium? I don't personally think so. Like different for me because I'd be on the baseline taking pictures probably, but that's just me. I should have put this up before. Wolverine Warrior again. Do you think Whittingham's staff can recruit at a higher level than the previous coaching staff? No, I mean, I don't mean that to be like, I just think that the way that recruiting is going to happen is going to change. I don't think it's going to be materially different in terms of like, I think maybe you'll see a 5-star, 10 4-stars, 14 3-stars, like kind of what you would expect. But I just think that the onus is going to be more on the transfer portal. That's just kind of the vibe I got. And yeah, David Pruden at Dave H. Pruden. What is a Bible verse that has stuck out to you recently? Go Blue and Jesus loves everyone. And he also asked, what starting offensive lineman do you think take the biggest leap this year? Let's see. I think that Jake Guarnera would be, let's go Blake Frazier, actually. I think Blake Frazier is going to take a massive leap. As far as Bible verse that stuck out to me recently, kind of just go with the ones that I always like. It's like, it's not that there's one that, lately I've been in Luke, right? So, I mean, we just did an 1.5-hour breakdown of Luke 3 yesterday. And, I could give you more themes rather than verse. But weirdly coming from that, we got into a discussion about the Pharisees because one of the people in my Bible study was acting like kind of like the Pharisees are the villains of the Bible. And I said, nope, we are the villains. And, like they were kind of saying, well, like, oh, but they're leading, the people astray, and some are going to, could be going to hell only because of their teaching. And I'm like, yeah, but connected it to Jonah and said salvation belongs to the Lord, and then connected it to Romans 9:16 with the idea of, the mercy belongs to him. You cannot work for it. You cannot earn it. So there's that. But so no new Bible verses that I'm kind of like, ooh, yeah, that really sticks out to me. I mean, if I'm going to pick Bible verses, it's always probably going to be like Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. Just because that's just where I'm at. Why that one? It's just a reminder of where we're at. Like I said, Pharisees aren't the problem. We are. All right. We've got a lot more to get to, and we're going to get to those here in just a moment.
I'm Talia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. It was a heavyweight showdown between number 3 South Carolina and number 7 LSU, and the Gamecocks rose to the occasion. South Carolina secured a hard-fought 79-72 victory to stay atop the SEC standings, using a balanced offensive attack to outlast the Tigers. Tessa Johnson led the way with 21 points, while Raven Johnson added 19. Medina Okot dominated the paint with a double-double, finishing with 12 points and 17 rebounds, while Joyce Edwards chipped in 10 points to round out the scoring. With the statement win, the Gamecocks now turn their attention to a road matchup at number 23 Alabama on Thursday. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
All right, let's close out with the Blue Crew, the lightning round. Lonnie Dub asks, is it too late? Yes, that's my official question. Yes, I purposely asked late because this time you didn't shut off the comments. Yes, have an amazing day. There you go. It is clearly not too late. NB Hunt asks, why is Michigan parting ways with Magee? Is there friction between him and Witt? I do not believe there's friction. I just think it's a different vision. Josh T at BatsBets91. Was that locker room video posted by rival fans real or AI? I will tell you that I have not seen it. I've seen what people have kind of said about it. And if it's just guys smoking weed in the locker room, here's my thoughts on it. It's not a good look whatsoever. But do I really care? No. Guys smoke weed, especially in a state where it's legal. And they did before it was legal. Whether it's Michigan, it's Michigan State, it's Ohio State, doesn't matter where, it's that type of stuff is happening pretty much everywhere. And I know that there's going to be rival fans that say, no, our guys, they mix their time between going from chapel to the Boys and Girls Club to practice to class. And believe that if you want to. You know, it's always fun to have your head stuck in the sand. Ian Westbrook asked, for the first time in a long time, it feels like this 2016 will start out with the offense being out of the defense. This is exciting, but do you have any concerns that this could mean the team will have to win games in a track meet fashion? We haven't seen that in A2. Thanks. I mean, you have seen it, just not since Harbaugh. I think it's certainly possible. I think you kind of saw that with Utah. I think the defense will be better than what Utah brought to the table last year. But I think the good news would be is that Michigan could win those games. I want to see more of that, to be honest, because they had a formula that worked, and it's a formula that has been waning in its ability to work. So I think fine, by all means. KY Bombers 18U light body. What metrics would be using to judge linebacker and DEL improvement during spring with just the spring game? Probably being able to stuff up the run, which it's going to be hard because you also want to see the running game go well. But ultimately, I think for the linebackers, you just want to see guys swarming to the ball. DML improvement, you wanted to see them getting a push in the front. Ultimately, that's all you can really do. It's like I said, it's hard to gauge a spring game. It's the team against itself. GT at GT Go Blue, with OSU's biggest donor all over the Epstein files, it's becoming clear that the Buckeyes are running a vast national network of human trafficking. Do you think Ryan Day's silence on this issue will cause him to resign in disgrace before next season begins? Here is, I included this because I want to make a point, and I've made this point before. I made it when Michigan was going through a lot of the things that it's gone through, whether it was the Connor stuff, which again, I don't think was nearly the big deal that is continued to be made out to be. The Dr. Robert Anderson stuff, whatever. We made it a point on this show when the Larry Nassar stuff was happening that we are not tying that to the football program. We are not taking reprehensible, like unbelievably big life things and making them rivalry fodder. Right? Like, yes, Wes Wexner has his name all over Ohio State. If he is implicated ultimately in this, then he himself should be given the Riot Act and beyond. But I do not think that it is wise, prudent, or like a funny thing to try to turn these types of things into rivalry fodder, right? Like, you don't like it when it happens to you. Penn State certainly didn't like it when it happened during Jerry Sandusky. You didn't like it when it happened with Dr. Anderson. I just do not think that that's like when real life type of things that are reprehensible like this are happening. I think that we've seen the glass houses thing work time and time again. And I think you'd be wise to remember that over and over again. Natty J, does Michigan have the defensive tackles to be an elite defense? Seems like we're a long way from 2023 DL talent. Like I've said before, they don't necessarily have to have the same DL talent all across the board. If your edge rushers can get home, and your middle guys can do well, then you can at least be 21 and 22 ultimately. 23 just happened to and they weren't like the defense wasn't like fully elite in 24, and they had the same DL talent for the most part. So you just had to find a mix that works ultimately. It's not about always having just I don't know that you'll ever have Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant again, right? But can you find serviceable to the cause? Absolutely. Here's the one about me that's going to work out here. Stephen All. He says, Isaiah, regarding your histamine issues, have you ever been checked for mast cell activation syndrome, MCAS, with an immunologist? This might explain your field turf and 0% beer issues. Your body reacts to things like you're allergic, even if you are not. On Tuesday, maybe it was Monday night, I was in ChatGPT and kind of explained all the things that happen to me when I have alcohol and what I kind of mentioned on the show when I said, hey, reach out to me if you've got anything here. And it said, you probably have MCAS. And I think that tracks. So I have not checked with the immunologist. That's, I don't have health insurance, to be honest. So that's kind of difficult, but I'm going to proceed as if that's what it is. We're going to try to see what we can do to fix that. Again, it's not that I want to necessarily drink. It's just I want to know what the base cause is. And that if that's it, then okay, cool. Let's see if we can manage that. Maybe I can get some. I was just looking right after you said that. Dry farm wines. Maybe I can have a glass of wine every now and again. That'd be nice. Was a big red wine and bourbon and scotch drinker once upon a time before all of this stuff started going the way it goes. Jason Mackwin, which sport outside of football and basketball is Michigan fans excited for their team to watch? Hockey. I mean, one word is required. Kaysen, players to watch out for in the spring. I'd pick offensive skill players and go from there. Smith, Snowden. Yeah, that's that, and the linebackers. I'm just going to give you position groups because I think you should watch all of them, to be honest. Finishing us out, Sam Vitale. As a likely RB3, how much of Savion will we see? I've heard he's already turning heads in winter conditioning. Do you think we'll burn his red shirt? Yes. To your last question, red shirt, consider it burned. I think you'll see him get anywhere between 5 and 10 carries a game, just kind of depending on the ebb and flow of things. Kind of like Donovan Edwards in 2021. So, yeah. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll be back soon. Peace.